Welcome back to TMZ Live. A little confusion coming out of Washington, D.C. and the CDC as to whether or not we're wearing masks on public transportation. That they had dropped the mask mandate. And remember, we talked about, we was like, well, we don't think that there's any way that they're going to challenge this, that the government would challenge this.
But they are.
But they are. So where do we stand on this issue? What should you be doing when you get on a plane, when you get on a bus, a subway? What should you be doing? Well, the best person to talk to?
I think the guy who runs transportation in America.
We take it to the top. Joining us right now, Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg. Pete, welcome back, Mr. Secretary.
Hey, thanks. Good to see you.
It's good to see you. So the mask mandate on planes was set to expire in a couple of weeks. So I think one of the sources of confusion is why appeal it if it was going to expire anyway, just in days?
Yeah, so I think a lot of that has to do with just making sure it's very clear legally what the CDC's authority actually is. Even if they don't need to use it immediately, they need to know whether that authority continues or not. So that's the legal issue that's going on. But the practical issues, people want to know, okay, what does this mean? What do I do if I'm getting on a plane, if I'm getting on the subway or the bus? I know it can be confusing. So here's the bottom line. If we're talking about local transportation, we're talking about the bus, the subway, transit getting around your community, it's going to depend on the community. So since there's no federal requirement anymore in effect at this time, what that means is it's going to be up to your transit authority, your transit agency, based on local conditions, to set their own standard. A lot of them have said, you know what, don't worry about it, it's up to you. Others still have the requirements, so you do want to make sure you check. Now, if you're getting ready to fly, as far as I know, even though it's the same idea, it's up to the airlines. I'm not aware of any airline that is enforcing a mask requirement. So that means that it is your call. And, what we're going to see is a lot of people will choose to continue to wear a mask. A lot of people will choose not to. The most important thing, of course, is that everybody treat each other with respect. People who are choosing to wear a mask and people who are choosing not to. Everybody's getting to where they're going together. And that's kind of where we are as a country, too. We're all in this together right now.
Oh, so I get your point on the plane, that it's up to all the airlines. You're right. I haven't heard of any of the airlines that are requiring
this. Well, it seems like they scampered not to have masks. So as soon as that the ruling came down, it seems like they just eliminated it because it felt, Mr. Secretary, it felt like the airlines weren't on board with this, that they felt for a while that they wanted to get rid of it sooner. The cabin was safe, yeah.
Well, yeah, and it depended who you asked. But, one of the dynamics we saw is that, the airlines were in the position of having to enforce this, right? Flight attendants were having to enforce this. And so it's a different chapter now that is just up to individuals.
So, Mr. Secretary, I'd like to move to what I would imagine around your offices, one of the biggest, hottest topics. And it does affect air travel as well, and that would be gas prices. Mm-hmm. What should Americans anticipate as far as prices staying where they are, maybe going down? What's on the horizon here? I've always just been suspect that once the oil companies realize that they can charge this and we're going to pay it, they're not going to lower it. Am I correct in assuming that?
I mean, there's been some evidence of that, right? Look at what happened. The price of oil went up, and then the gas companies deciding how much to charge for the price of gas, which is based on oil, went up right alongside it, right? Oil goes up, gas goes up. Oil started to level off a little bit, and it didn't move the other way, right? So that tells you got a lot of companies that are pocketing the profits. They're even deciding not to produce more when they have permits to produce more because they'd rather just pocket those profits and sit on them. Now, those are decisions that those companies are making and have the power to make. But there are also things that we can do as an administration. Those are some of the things the president did do. He released all of those barrels of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to try to stabilize prices somewhat. We're taking steps for the medium term to make sure that vehicles are more fuel efficient so that you can get more miles on the same tank of gas. You don't have to buy as much gas. Some of those improvements can actually happen quite quickly.
So how are the kids?
They're great. Actually, I just got an email saying the daycare prices were going to go up. So we're everybody's in the same boat on that. But they're in daycare. They're doing great. It's funny. The daycare sends us messages all the time. We get these I get these little notifications on the phone, like every nap, every bottle, every diaper, which is actually kind of helpful. We didn't ask for it, but it's kind of helpful when you're nervous about having your kids in somebody else's hands. And from what I can tell, they're thriving there. And then Chas and I'll usually walk back with them at the end of the day. And I sound like every parent I've ever known. I'm completely in love, and I'm inflicting pictures on everybody, and it's taking over our lives.
Can I give you just one piece of advice? I know you're the Secretary of Transportation, but may I?
Tell me.
As somebody who has real issues texting and whatnot, really be careful when you say, "How was their poop?" Don't send it to like another secretary. Make sure it's the daycare center you're sending it to.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, that's a shockingly large proportion of the texts that Chas and I send back and forth have to do with things like that. All the things that gross you out until it's your kid, and then it's just basic information.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, by the way, before we go, I just wanted to point out something. We saw a video that your office posted that you're hiring, basically, because of the infrastructure bill. There are going to be some more jobs. So we saw this video you posted. You're walking around the office, and I don't want to be too critical, but the office looks really drab. Is there anything we can do to like put some color in there? Like,
come on, that's one of our best office spaces in the DOT here.
It's not really. It doesn't say I can't wait to work in that office. I mean,
all right, here's what we'll do, because we got to attract the best and the brightest right now to help us build this infrastructure around the country. So maybe we'll send somebody to take notes around your newsroom there.
Yeah.
See if we can jazz things up.
Oh, there you go. Sure. You want to go a little?
That?
Yes, a little industrial, sort of half done, half not.
I mean, you've been here, so
if that's what it takes to attract the best talent to work here, we'll do it. So we'll go take some notes, get some swatches from your interior decoration over there, bring it back here to Washington.
Okay.
Send them on in, Mr.
Secretary. Again, we love having you on, so thanks so much, Mr. Secretary. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Great seeing you guys.
Good seeing you. That's funny.
Just trying to help the government any way I can.
I get you.